Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be comparing the Squier Affinity Stratocaster HSS against the Squier Sonic Stratocaster HSS. Now this one is $200 retail at the time of filming and this one is $250. These are standard prices. Both come with thin poplar bodies. Both have maple necks with a satiny finish. I will say it's a little smoother feeling on the Affinity. Both have maple fretboards or laurel fretboards as options. Both have 21 frets. I really can't feel a size difference. I believe they were both listed as like a tall, narrow. They feel pretty much the same to me. We have plastic nuts, sealed tuners. However, on the Affinity, we have split shaft, but they are just standard sealed tuners. They both feel good. The Affinities, I have two of them. I will say I think they feel a tiny bit better than the Sonic, but nothing comparable really when you're tuning up and playing. I didn't really notice much of a difference. I will say that the profile feels a little bit different on these necks to me. Feels like there's a little more meat actually on the Sonic, and I don't know which one I prefer. I think I prefer the Affinity, but I do like a little thinner neck. But both feel good. The fretwork is a little bit better on the Affinity. The Sonic has some pretty sharp ends, but neither one were overly scratchy, and both play really well. Action out of the box was great. Both have truss rod adjustment at the headstock, and both have a single string guide, which I prefer. Now, there is the smaller headstock on the Sonic, which a lot of people, including myself, are going to prefer over the larger headstock of the Affinity. The Affinity also does have a gloss finish on the headstock. But overall, the necks, they feel fairly similar. Other than the sharp frets, there's really not a quality difference that I can tell. Like I said, maybe this is a little smoother, but this one feels better than the black one I have as well. That's also an Affinity, same year. These are all 2024s. So I can't say for sure that this one just might have a little better finish than the other two guitars, because you do get that. Now, as far as hardware and electronics down here, both have an HSS system. They're both ceramic. I can tell you just by looking at them that the pull pieces on them are staggered differently, and they do sound different. I think the Sonic sounds a little more aggressive. Check out my independent reviews for the guitars, but both sound good and are plenty great for bedroom practice. Of course, at this end or low end of a guitar, you're probably not going to want to record with these, but as you know, you can make anything work. So for the tremolos, we have a 6-point trim on the Sonic, 2-point trim on the Squier. Both have 6 independent saddles. Both have small trim blocks. We have the standard contours on the bodies, square hill joints. We have volume in 2 tones, 5-way selector switch on both, standard output jack. So really the difference in these guitars is the pickups themselves, having 6-point trim instead of a 2-point trim, and having the split shaft tuners versus the standard tuners, and the headstock size. Is there $50 worth of difference? A lot of people, just because of the 2-point tremolo, will say yes. To me, it doesn't make much difference. The tremolos both function okay. You're not dive bombing with either. With the split shaft tuners, which a lot of people prefer, myself included, this has a little more vintagey 70s feel. But again, excuse me, most of us, I think, prefer the smaller headstock. Most Strat players I've talked to prefer it. However, this doesn't look bad with the larger headstock. So with the exception of the pickups, it's pretty much just cosmetic. Like I said, I think this maybe has a little better finish, but compared to my other Affinity, this one also has a better finish. It feels more like this, although the fret ends weren't sharp on the other Affinity. So there's probably $50 worth of difference between the minor bit of fretwork, and the pickups might be a little bit better. But the 2-point trim is going to be the biggest difference, I think, for most people. It really is. So as far as playability, they both play great. I'm very surprised at the action out of the box. These were both set up very nicely. I just ordered them off a musician's friend one day. So they're not anything, I didn't go pick them out of a store or anything. I just ordered them in, and they both came in set up surprisingly well. So What about upgradability? The only issues upgrading these guitars is going to be that you will have to route the body out a little bit. I have to take a couple of millimeters out to fit proper electronics anytime I upgrade a Squier. Doesn't take that long if you know how to use a Dremel. Other than that, you can just put pickups in. However, I haven't checked the pot values on these. A lot of times Squiers are running a little hotter pots to accommodate for the pickups, and maybe not be what you want to run if you put in like some, Texas Specials or some Fat 50s, whatever you decide to put in. So that is something to consider with the upgradability. Also with the Tremlos, if you went to a full block, you'd have to look for something like, I believe it's 39 millimeter. Might be the 36 millimeter for these. Both are available. Places like Guitar Fetish have them. Music Lily from Amazon. They're running around. They're not that hard to get. So that's your main issues upgrading these guitars. Both actually make pretty good upgrade platforms if you don't mind doing that little bit of work and you like the thinner bodies. A lot of people do not like the thinner bodies, so I can understand staying away from this. And again, they are poplar, which is fine with me. I've had a lot of guitars that were poplar over the years that sounded great. So I'd say there's probably the $50 difference here. But if the tremolo is not that big of a difference and you know how to touch up the fretwork yourself and you prefer the smaller headstock, then go with the Sonic. But if you don't know how to do anything to the guitars or you're uncomfortable doing anything to them, like touching up fretwork, then the Affinity is probably going to have a little better fit and finish. This is actually my second Sonic I had in. The last one I had in came in damaged, so I never did a review on it. It didn't have sharp fret ends, but they weren't as good as the Affinity. But that was the only problem the guitar had, except for it did have a ding in it. So I'm going to say that this is the better guitar and worth the extra $50, but I don't think you're going wrong with this one for $200. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content, please click like and subscribe. Click the bell icon to stay notified. Leave me some comments and suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, keep playing.